Hi, this is Brendan Murphy here, and welcome to the Please Do Something podcast. I'm a singer and a songwriter who will be talking to inspiring creative people about how and why they do what they do and some of the lessons they've learned along the way. Thanks for listening. Songwriting is a long game. The new songs always seem to echo the old ones. I'm Brendan Murphy, and in this new series, Now and Then, I'm exploring that connection with my co-host Greg Canty. I'm opening my own songwriter's diary to bridge the gap between 2026 releases from my band, The Four of Us, and the early tracks that defined us. It's a journey through the songs of today and the music that shaped our path. Let's get into it.
Brendan Murphy, how the hell are you?
I am fantastic, and I've missed our little chats.
What in the name of God have you been up to? And you disappeared under a rock, but you haven't really, have you?
No. I mean, it was hard to beat the last series when we went through our whole catalogue of albums. And I remember after thinking, where do we go now? Because we ended on Crescent Nights. I remember thinking, what's the next idea? You know what I mean? What's the next idea? And then I suggested to you, actually just before that, at the end of last year, myself and Declan had this crazy idea to prevent writer's block or a long gap between our albums ever happening again. Certainly the next one. So we said, okay, instead of just constantly writing and disappearing, making a record, what if we release a new song every 2 months, put ourselves under serious pressure, and then let's just make some new mistakes in 2026 and have some fun, and we might get lucky with the song and with reactions to the song. And in this post-Spotify world, it seemed like a good idea. And crucially, I thought, this gives me a chance to go back to my good friend Greg and we'll go, let's do the story behind the song. And we'll have a new one every 6 or 8 weeks. And then you said, okay, that's a good idea, but what about also doing an old song with a new song? And I thought, well, that's why you're Greg Canty and I'm not.
Well, we did talk through each of those albums.
We did.
And you know, I really felt like each album was pushing a colossal boulder up a hill. Took forever to get that boulder up a hill. Eventually you got it there, and you were also beat out that, we weren't going to see another one for, 4 or 5 years. And that was pretty much the way it was. So when we did our recordings for Crescent Nights, I thought, okay, I'll see you in 2030.
Yeah. And here we have a new single up on Spotify,
Wow.
and it's great. We're going into RTE Radio 1 to promote it. So it's very exciting for me. It's like old dog, new tricks. Let's just see what we come up with. And I like this song. We have cheated a bit because this song nearly made Crescent Nights.
Now, you mentioned RT1 and like that, getting ready for work one of the days last week. And you hear the DJ rolling in and classic hits. We have The Four of Us, Him for Her. I thought, wow, classic hits. I think that's just amazing. I did a quick little scoot through the website and that came out in 1992.
And it wasn't a single.
Yeah, exactly. But yet it's a classic hit. And they classify it as such. And you kind of think, where did that go wrong? Or where did that go right? And if you think about it, that particular song was very unlike everything else on the Man Alive album. Very kind of cryptic, slow and moody sort of a song. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful track. One of my favourite Four of Us songs. Why is that a classic hit? And when you hear it being played and they're describing it as a classic hit, what does that do to you? What do you think when you hear that?
It's funny with The Four of Us. I just feel like we've sort of got over the hump now where people sort of view us as maybe we've just hung on and around for so long at this point that you sort of end up getting this sort of you've just got a back catalogue of of songs that people know. But with that specific song, I think there's two reasons. Well, I'm just thinking this off the top of my head. One is that in the 1992 Irish Music Awards, they asked us to perform a song. And they didn't know what song we were going to perform, but we got the CBS Records had got a slot for us on the show, even though we had nothing out. And Songs for Tempted had done so well that basically they knew it was going to go down well. So I remember it was in the Three Arena, the Point Depot at the time. So it was in front of a full house. And we went on and we performed that song. And the reason we performed that song was because we knew it was the best song we'd written at that point. You know, you'd have to go back to the Making of Man Alive podcast for the whole story. But really, we had written a load of songs at that point, but we knew it wasn't totally there. And we ended up then recruiting Mick Glossop, a fantastic producer, to produce another set of songs that would really make the album stand out. And those four songs became the first four songs on the album: Sensual Thing, Man Alive, and Miss You, and She Hits Me, which was actually the genuine hit on the Man Alive album. But before that, Hymn for Her was obviously the strongest song. CBS wanted us for the show, and we knew it was a mistake not to do the Irish Rock Awards, so we went on and we did Hymn for Her. And it was on live on national television, and a great response. And so that might be one reason. It was very high profile, that song, even though it wasn't released as a single. And the second thing is that now, because we've been doing shows for 30 years since that album was released, and online shows and live shows, we have realized that as far as our audience is concerned, it may as well have been a single. It consistently is chosen by them as one of the top songs that we did. We, on our Thursday night online show, we did a year or two ago, we did a vote for the top 25 four of us songs. And you know, I don't know, we got hundreds of people to cast the vote. And Hymn for Her was somewhere in the top 10. So I credit the song and that sort of lucky break of getting a real high-profile slot for performing it on national TV.
It kind of shows you, though, that great song will just outlast everything, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, that is part of the reason that has sustained me during periods when, you know, I think we could have given up, the band could have given up. I always thought two things. I always thought, I know we've written some good songs, and I know we've got more good songs in us. And I just thought, you know, it's that old thing, you don't want people who die with their music still in them. I thought, they're not going to say that about me and Declan. You know what I mean? Bruce Springsteen's got a great quote where he goes, the great thing about songs about a good song is that it stays written. And I know what he means. It doesn't go away, and it doesn't go away from your live set, and it doesn't go away from, and you know, you just got to keep building them up until you. I remember saying to Declan, imagine if we had 2 hours of songs with no what we'd call shitters in there, nothing. Nothing.
Is that an official term? Is it?
Well, it is if you're from our neck of the woods. We just thought, what if, you know? And there's so many people we know and love, that artists that I know and love that have that. They can play for 3 hours and never get below fantastic songs. And I just thought, you know, imagine what would that be like? It may take me to 80 to get there, but you know, that's a vocation worth pursuing.
Countless hours expressions between righteous and the just. For what seems all is nothing, a thought you cannot share. I sing a little hymn for her. If time is just a fighter, laughs at all his foes, he waits until they're smug enough, then wins us with his blows. Expressions you can't fathom, the hand I cannot hold. For what was made in heaven is something I can't mold. With a sense of loss surrounding me, with thoughts I cannot bear, I sing a hymn for her.
Yeah, and 34 years later, you're still the master of those cryptic, moody, deep songs with a deep, deep meaning, and the listener is left with this predicament of, I wonder what that song was really about, which brings us to your new single.
Which is not like that.
Yeah. So have we got things about Assways here, Brendan? So this new track, and I know you're going to reveal all in a second, I'm arguing that really should have been the song from 34 years ago, and the deep cryptic one is of today.
Yeah, well, I would argue that it takes a lot more craft, and it takes a lot more hard work and inspiration to write a song that actually makes sense and is less cryptic than it does to write one that is cryptic. So I mean, I used to love writing, as you say, like that leaving holes for the listener to interpret, and I've got slightly less interested in that as I've got older. I haven't given up on completely, and I know there's people not just who listen to our music, but people who work with me, like Enda, who co-writes a lot of our songs, would say, it doesn't all have to add up, Brent. Because I can write lyrics now that do add up. I used to really be able to do that. I was able to do it when I wrote Mary and then forgot it for a while. But this one, the other song you're talking about, which is the current single, Leaning for a Kiss, it was such a vivid memory for me that I didn't want to not really recall it, because I know if I got it right, it would remind other people of that memory, specifically of that really nerve-wracking moment when you really are attracted to a girl, and you know that your only chance when you go up and ask a girl for a dance during what was back then, I'm giving my age away, during the slow set, that was your opportunity. And if you went up and asked a girl for a dance during the slow set, you were basically saying, I am romantically interested in you. And if she didn't say, I'm sorry, but I'm with my friends, which was the classic, I'm just not interested. That was a girl's way of saying, I'm not interested, but she didn't want to say, I'm not interested. So what she would say is, no, look, I can't leave my friends. All the fellas knew what that meant. And of course, you walked into the disco with fellas who were all watching you as you did that lonely walk of shame back to them at the bar whenever you received the vote of no confidence from the girl that you had gone up to. And then if you managed to get, she said, okay, and she danced, that was still no guarantee that you were in the clear. At that point, then you sort of had to just somehow navigate that 2 or 3 song, somewhere between Leo Sayer and some sort of a song by, I'm trying to think the classic
10cc.
10cc, yeah, I'm not in love yet. There was Hello by Lionel Richie. And if you got it wrong with a girl, of course, it was Goodbye, I'm going back to my friends. So for me, sometimes I wake up in a cold sweat still remembering some of those moments. And, you're 16 or 17 or, just at an age when you really your confidence is not really together at that point, and you know, you can. It's so easy to be crushed. It was a song that I'd always wanted to write, and I thought I'm just going to write it exactly the way it would have happened.
And ironically, while we're talking about him for her being cryptic, I'm half guessing that a young listener, you know, who's interested in the four of us, I think you're a really cool band, and they're listening to this song, Lean In For A Kiss, they're like very confused. What is all this talk about slow sets and leaning in and going for the moment? It's like, it's probably a different world that they know nothing about now.
Yeah, it's a completely different world. And I'm not writing it for them. You know, I'm not writing it for them. I'm writing it for me first. And then I'm writing it for people who remember what that was like. And actually, to be fair, I am writing it for people who don't know what that was like. And I just love the idea of putting the slow set. That's now in the midst of time, the slow set. I mean, that was such
that was down to business time, wasn't it?
Totally. I mean, it was totally get down to business. I mean, it was, and you know, and per guys would literally start drinking the second they got into the disco, so that they would have the Dutch courage by the time the slow set came on to not care if the girl turned them down whenever they would up and asked her. But I always knew that was a fatal mistake, because if a girl saw a guy coming towards her, you know, and he couldn't even walk straight, I mean, whatever chance he had, it was going to diminish greatly, you know.
And even to use the words dancing is a bit of a stretch as well.
Totally.
You kind of shuffled around in awkward circles.
Yeah, but you know, not as awkward as the circles you would have been dancing if you were dancing to a fast song.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
Irish lads, like, I mean, they're not like the brothers, you know, they're not the best dancers in the world. No, I mean, the slow set was actually a way to disguise your lack of rhythm. You know, you could literally just you weren't sort of leaning in for a kiss, you were just leaning on the girl in some cases, you know.
And while we're talking about dancing and the four of us and those early days, did you have to practice your, you know, lead vocalist throwing shapes on the stage?
Well, luckily I had a guitar, you know, so I had a guitar, and that, thank God I had a guitar. Because if you don't have a guitar, then you're forced into all the stereotypes. You can either give them the sort of full Freddie Mercury, or you could do the Bono, where basically you just look for a speaker or a balcony to navigate, you know, somewhere dangerous to run to that you shouldn't be anywhere near, you know. Or I'm trying to think else. Or if you could do the sort of Elvis, which wasn't recommended, wouldn't be recommended, that one. I'm trying to think of all the. There was a couple of I suppose, stereotypes. You could sort of look at the singer from an Irish band and know who their favourite band was.
By the shapes they were throwing.
Yeah, by the shapes they were throwing. The guitar player and the singer in particular. Hard to know the bass player because they never did much.
Yeah, and we were chatting about Robert Plant, classic frontman singers. He was quite a good frontman. All the pouting and the long mane of hair. And
he was the rock god. That expression, I think, really was invented for him. And I got to meet him. Obviously, got to do some shows with him. He's an imposing character. Like, the guy's he must be about 6'2" now. So he's a big lad, you know. And back then, he was, beautiful is the wrong word, but he was an attractive looking. That's the irony. A lot of those guys, and those, particularly the Zeppelin guys, they had long hair and they looked not effeminate exactly, but they looked quite feminine in ways, you know. And then the funny thing was, certainly around Newry, they sort of influenced a whole generation of what we used to call the hard men, which were the guys that, you know, that you sort of wouldn't want to mess around, to be standing on the street corner, who all look suspiciously like Robert Plant, just not as pretty, you know.
Yeah, the long hair and the curls, the whole lot.
Yeah, and then it went from Led Zeppelin and then sort of worked its way down to sort of status quo. And, you know, I mean, there was a whole period there just before punk changed everything, where, you know, the height of fashion was everybody wanted to look like Robert Plant.
So lean in for a kiss. Tell me about that story of the song and the version we're going to listen to in a second. How it came about.
Well, it started with Enda played something that sounded sort of a keyboard part that was flat, which is the way it always starts with us. Then he got another set of chords, and suddenly I was able to write. I think I was going, I don't know what it is. So it wasn't leaning for a kiss. It was, I don't know what it is. And really, that what I actually didn't know what it was. I didn't know what the song was, didn't know what the lyric was, but we certainly knew that we had a verse which wasn't that, and a chorus that sounded totally like a chorus. And not only that, but it was a very long one. It was, I don't know what it is, da 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 ba 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 ba. I don't know what it is. And then you could go into that again, and it didn't sound wrong. So we got very excited about that. And then it was, okay, now go and write a proper lyric. You can't sing about don't know what it is. We got to know what the song is. And then I came back and I said, lads, I've got it. If this is all there is, that's it. If this is all there is, I won't ask for more. Blah, blah. I was something, something when you walk through my door. If this is all there is, I'll take it. What do you think of that? And the guys were sort of vaguely interested, thought, well, it's better than, I don't know what it is, but is it much better? And I sort of thought that myself, and I thought, oh, that's just not really interesting enough. So, of course, fast forward months and months of writes and rewrites and worse ideas than I don't know what, than if this is all there is. And then finally, I had a line in the verse, which often happens. It's basically confusing. Leave this girl in a state of confusion. That line came out of nowhere. And then I went, what would leave a girl in a state of confusion? When I saw the line that I'd written, what would leave a girl in a state of confusion? And then I instantly thought about the disco and the not having the nerve to follow through, because that was the thing about if you were in a slow set and you just lost your nerve, or you thought, I don't think she's interested, and then you didn't pursue it. You just thanked her for the dance, and she went her way and you went yours, and you sort of thought, oh, was she interested? And I did that a couple of times where I sent a mixed signal, and I got mixed signals from a girl, and then later on, I found out that I'd made it. I could have actually had a date with that girl if I'd played my cards right, but I hadn't. And I thought, okay, well, let's write that story. And I just put myself in the disco. It was easy to go there. And then I thought, somewhere along the line, I got leaning for a kiss. And then we hit the problem of, hang on a minute, just because you've got this girl up and you're dancing with her doesn't mean you can sort of go and you can't just sort of lean in for it. It's in a Me Too world. That's not really
way too forward.
Yeah, it's a wee bit presumptuous, isn't it? And I thought, well, yeah, exactly. But that's a whole problem. Even it's the navigating that whole. At what point where you're getting on well with a girl or a girl is getting on well? At what point does either person think it's okay to? There's two ways around it. You can either actually say, do you mind if I give you a kiss? That's A. B, you can actually just try it and see if you get rebuffed. Either way is fraught with danger. So, but bottom line, there you go. I mean, songs are all about tension. And I thought, well, the tension and release of tension. And that was perfectly, I just thought, oh, this is good. This is a good idea. But we kept getting it wrong with I kept getting it wrong with the lyric, where it would be like, I had one where it was, instead of the night will soon be over, it was leaning for a kiss before it's too late. The night will soon be over, don't hesitate. So I'd written that, and then I said, okay, I'll change it. The second one. Leaning for a kiss before it's too late. Her friends will soon be over, don't hesitate. And this was like, well, why are you worried about her friends coming over? You know what I mean? Should she be concerned? So there was lots of words that just made the protagonist sound too pushy. And at the very end of the song, in the current lyric, it starts at the very end. It goes, it ultimately ends up that she leans in for a kiss first. So basically, while he's going, should I lean in for a kiss, for the whole song, at the very end, it moves to that she's the one that leans in for a kiss. So I thought, well, that's going to solve the problem. But that, I'd been writing it for months before I'd come up with that. That's it. I'm definitely off the hook if she leans in for a kiss, So it was a very, very tricky song to write, but so much fun. But then there was a problem of the arrangement, because the song is essentially flat. The chords are the same in the verse as the chorus. So the way the four of us try and resolve that problem when we know we can't change them is we just keep overdubbing more and more instruments. And then we take away the building blocks and we put two bits of guitar together that weren't written together. And that's what we did. And when we did that, the chorus sounded completely different from the verse. So we had maybe recorded 6 or 7 different guitar lines that were all different. And we put 2 together in the verse, and we lost those 2, and we put 2 separate ones, even though they're playing essentially over the same backing track in the chorus. And the song sounded like it was going somewhere, even though really it isn't.
I told myself so many times, don't lose your nerve, just read the signs. Don't leave this girl in a state of confusion. Don't mess this up. Tonight's been my lucky night. We danced and I held her tight, and it looks like she finds me amusing. Should I lean in for a kiss before it's too late? The night will soon be over, don't hesitate. Should I lean in for a kiss? Lean in. Once the music stopped, she'd be on her way. Now she's looking at me as if to say, lean in for a kiss. Lean in. The slow set's about to end. What now? Well, that all depends. Will your head or your heart do the thinking? Your time is up. It feels like there's no one else. You've got all to yourself. Let the boys at the bar do the drinking. Should I lean in for a kiss before it's too late? The night will soon be over, don't hesitate. Should I lean in for a kiss? Lean in. Once the music stopped, she'd be on her way. Now she's looking at me as if to say, lean in for a kiss. Lean in, just lean in. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. And she leans in for a kiss, and I lean in for a kiss. As we lean in for a kiss, lean in. Before the door swing open, now you're not just hoping that she knows how you feel. Now she knows how you feel.
2026 releasing a single. What does that mean? I can't go into Golden Disc tomorrow and buy the single, can I? What does it actually mean to release a single now?
I think what it means to me is that I am a songwriter, and Declan is a songwriter, and we write songs, and it's our job to write songs. And now we have an opportunity to do it without all the fanfare and all the pressure. And, in the old days, releasing a single was a pricey thing to do. It was, you had to manufacture them, you had to get them into the shops, you had radio pluggers, you had this, that, and the other. And now it's like, I'm 63 years of age. I don't give a shit. I don't care about whether, it's I'm doing this for the people that are interested in our music, who listen to our music every month on Spotify continually. It's for them. So I'm serving those people. That's the way I look at it. I'm under no illusions. I'm not trying to suddenly work my way into some sort of a national chart. Myself and Declan, we have an audience. Our job is to serve them as best we can. And I feel in 2026, the way they consume music is on a combination of social media and on the streaming platform. That's the way the world consumes music. So it's like the penny's dropped. I've got the message. I'm going to do that. And also, I just want to break patterns. I want to break our patterns because that keeps it interesting for us. So me and Declan, and if we're in the studio next week, we're giggling about the fact that I don't have a lyric for the next single. It's a nervous giggle, but it's, it's fun. This is a way when the Beatles were doing it and all that's a way. Somewhere along the line, people started taking it all too seriously. And the four of us are no different. I'm willing to put out a song that mightn't be the best song, because you know what, I've spent years in some songs that in retrospect weren't worth the effort, so I'd rather it took 8 weeks.
I guess that old system with singles and albums, it was of a time where if you wanted to listen to this stuff, you had to purchase it. To purchase it, it had to be manufactured, and to manufacture it, you needed an A side and a B side to make it of value to the person buying it, and then to give them even more value, you put 8 to 10 tracks together and you called it an album, and the album had to be a story with a structure. You and Declan, you are those soldiers. Every time we spoke, you were saying, well, each album has to have a theme, it has to have a big story. And I've heard you a million times saying we had so many other songs, but they just didn't fit that album. Lots of lost children or children that were given away. So if you pull the curtains open on that argument, and this is just about music and songs, and I have fans out there who want to hear new music, and I'm going to give them new music, and it doesn't have to be tied into something that has to be manufactured or packaged together. Let it be a single. Let it go out into the world as a single entity, and it doesn't need to dance with someone else on the dance floor.
There's a lot less pressure now. I mean, you don't you can just put it up and let people judge it. Now, at the same time, I'm under no illusion. If we put up enough songs that really aren't up to much in a row, it's no different than doing a boatload of shows that aren't great. It will have an impact. You've got to do your utmost to try and to do the best work that you can. But after that, it's very hard to know. And it's just it's an exciting challenge. And that's really what life's about. For me anyway, it's like, okay, well, how can I challenge myself in 2026 in a way that I didn't in 2025? Whether it be learning, we're developing a new stage show or changing the stage show, or to be honest, it's pretty thrilling, and it's just amazing that you can do this now. And also remember, whenever you release singles in the old days, if radio didn't play it, your fans never heard it. They couldn't hear it. You couldn't. You had gatekeepers on radio and TV that decided whether the song that you decided to be a single actually was going to be heard by your people, never mind the general audience. That's gone now. I know that our people are going to hear this song. No one is going to stop our song getting to our people. And if people on top of that like that, fantastic. But if they don't, our people get to hear our song that we've made for them. And that's what it's about. We're serving our audience. That's it. You know what I mean? How can we best serve the people that care enough about what we do to listen to us continually, to go our shows and listen to our music? I don't take those people for granted, and I just really want to do work that they enjoy.
On the subject of audiences, you're hitting the road again. I was on the website looking at the schedule. You have a tour of the UK. You're up north to Ballymena. You're back to Kilkenny. I saw Fermoy, Dublin, Waterford, Donegal in the summer schedule. Then you're Wexford, Dunleary, Longford, Belfast. What can people expect in the shows this summer? Are you changing things up? What are you doing? What's this 2026 on the road version of the four of us going to be like?
Well, if your new song's coming every week, you're going to have to learn how to play those songs. You're going to have to learn how to perform them. People are going to be asking for them. People are going to be looking for them. So once that happens, it immediately shifts your show. We played a show in Dundalk jail there, and I didn't think they were going to let us out. We ended up playing 2.5 hours, and we were having the time of our life. That's the other thing when you release the song as a single, then you do a show 2 weeks later, people expect to hear that song. So it causes havoc with your set list. But we know that people want to hear all the songs that the big four of us songs as far as they're concerned. So our show just gets longer because we don't want anybody to be disappointed. But it alters the show because you do a song like Leaning for a Kiss. First of all, the song's different. Second of all, the story of the song is different. And if you have that happening every 2 months, pretty much by the end of the year, you have a radically new show. So it helps everything, really, unless the songs are terrible, which we will do our very, very best to make sure that they're not that. So it's exciting for us. It regenerates us. If we do it right, hopefully it will excite our audience. And I'm looking forward to sharing the next song with you when we get it done, which is, the clock's ticking. I better get writing some lyrics. It's great fun, it's great fun.
What songs do you enjoy most at the gigs these days?
As per usual, it's the Crescent Night songs, because they're recent and it's lovely when people ask for them, request them, and it's great. And it's great seeing how they sit with the other songs. The show's just got longer now. Like we have trouble fitting it into 2 hours. It's great, and that's 2 hours of songs that we want to hear as well, and we want to play. So I can honestly say I haven't enjoyed doing live shows as much as I am today, and I'm enjoying the whole process really more and more. I really don't know what the reason for that is. I think I'm getting the hang of it. I'm getting the hang of, and now if I can get that, there's only one thing that we need to get the hang of that we haven't really got the hang of, and that is a release schedule. So if we get this right, we'll have sort of killed our last bête noire, which is the gaps between our releases. And this is as good as a way as any to really throw the cat among the pigeons, so to speak, by sort of forcing us into a sort of these creative deadlines that, to be honest, musicians in the 60s, the 70s, this was the way they were working all the time. So it's not like we're reinventing the wheel. Somewhere along the line, I think everybody became a bit guilty of taking a long time to make stuff. But at the same time, as again, Bruce Springsteen said, no one cares how long it took for you to make a bad record.
Yeah.
So it's like it doesn't matter if you're fast or if the record isn't any good, the songs aren't any good. So it's just like, but I don't know. By the end of this year, I'll have a better idea of whether this experiment has sort of helped us or hurt us. Even that is exciting.
Do your kids come to the gigs?
They've gone to about 3 gigs. They only go to the ones where the dressing rooms are fancy, or if there's somebody famous playing on it, playing after us.
That isn't their dad.
Yeah, that isn't. They got to meet Robert Plant, so they were happy about that. And actually, James he could have taken it or leaving it, but yeah, they went to Forest Fest this year, and actually we did a festival in the UK, Croppity, that the Fairports put on every year, and they love that. So they love festivals, especially if there's a VIP area. The kids just love the VIP. They love being able to go somewhere that other people can't go.
Is there music in them?
Yeah, there's music in them, but there's no music coming out of them.
There's no one picking up a guitar, is there?
No. I think I put them off.
Yeah. Would you want them to? Would you?
No, I don't want them to, but I didn't want them to have anything that I didn't get from my dad, which was complete indifference. So my dad had zero interest in my interest in music, and that I knew then that my interest in music was completely self-motivated, and whatever I wanted to achieve wasn't coming from anybody but me. And I felt the same, that I should give the same gift to my kids, that if they want to pursue it, it would be coming from them. And there is absolutely no sign of either of them showing, but they both love music. They both love music.
Yeah, what do they listen to? Like, do you pick up a bit from them and what they're tuning into?
I hate to say it, but the only music I really listen to is the music that they're playing. Yeah, so basically when I'm in the car, I never, ever have any control over the Spotify playlist, like zero. And it's just the way I want it. So, but it's weird, I find it so interesting the way kids now, like Sarah's 16, James is 14. But I remember there was a song by The Real Thing called, they had a number one song, a song went to number one called, what is the name of that song? This song was number one for ages. Oh, it'll come to me. But
that's an old band, is it?
Yeah, like ridiculously old.
Oh yeah. Black band, weren't they? Best of my knowledge.
Yeah, it was. The chorus was "You to me are everything, the only love that I can think." Oh baby.
Oh yeah.
Down and you put me down. Okay, so both James and Sarah, that is like in their top 10. If we go on a car journey, that song will always come up on the place by both of them. And I remember when that song was number one, like for, as far as I was concerned, too long, back when I was like their age. And it was that particular song, I would be sort of groaning every time I heard it, at number one, because they always played the number one song. And then I'm obviously realizing that I completely missed something, that these two kids who have no idea who the band is, no idea about anything, the context of it or anything, and they just went, that is a banger, So there's an example. She loves Shadi, my daughter.
Yeah, wow. She's good taste.
Yeah, so really, but then she also loves like Kanye West or Drake. It's so all over the place. It really is. She's going to see Olivia Dean, I think. And then she's going to go and see some country guy, Zach Bryant or something like that. When we were young, music was tribal. So it was like, you like this, you don't like that. You are part of, if you were into punk, you didn't like long-haired music. You didn't like, it was like, we really don't like any of that. It's like, it was connected to fashion. It was your identity. I don't know if that exists anymore. It certainly doesn't exist among my kids. It's from anywhere and everywhere. And I love it because the snobbery and the tribalism. I remember hiding a Billy Joel record when I was walking up from the record shop because I was afraid I would run into one of my school pals who would have expected to see, London Calling by The Clash under my arm. Would not have been too impressed to find out that it was A Stranger by Billy Joel. But as far as I was concerned, it was songs. Billy Joel knew how to write a tune, and I just love songwriters. So I had Billy Joel and didn't feel bad about it up against The Clash or in some cases, people that did both, which was like Elvis Costello. But the one thing in common that my record collection had was everybody, all the records that I had in there were people who knew how to write a good tune.
What was your most played record?
Of all mine?
Yeah.
Probably Rumours, Fleetwood Mac. That song, that album is just like, I don't know if the word perfection is a funny term, but and you know what? That's why I actually I think the public is right. I think the public is generally right about music. I think the public knows a tune when they know. I think there's a reason that Rumours is and the Eagles' greatest hits. There's a reason those songs and all that. It's not just the songs that's timeless. The production is timeless as well, And but certainly both those albums I played a lot. But again, I wouldn't have been shouting about it from the rooftops, really, because I also had. I had The Clash, and I had like Joe Jackson, and I had a lot of that sort of post-punk. The Talking Heads, I had most of their albums. Roxy Music. It was a mixture of everything, really. It was just like someone who obviously didn't seem to. I played the tribal card when I was at school, but if you went home and looked through the record collection, you could see that I was obviously just listening to anything and everything.
Yeah, is it possible, do you think, for a brilliant song never to be heard?
100%. 100%. Not only like Roxanne by the Police. First time that was released, it wasn't a hit. It wasn't a hit. And I heard it the first time it was released. Kid Jensen, I think, or somebody played it on Radio 1. And the first time I heard it, I went, now that is a song they're going to be playing in another 50 years. That's one of those songs. Every now and again, but it wasn't a hit. It was re-released after, I think, Can't Stand Losing You or something was actually the song that, because the band were building momentum. But it absolutely is the case. Because, first of all, it has to be heard. And what I said earlier is totally true. If it isn't played enough, people don't hear it. And if people don't hear it, then the song never creates enough momentum to sort of break through. And I think that as a songwriter, you have to really write enough songs that one of them somewhere will just break through to allow you to build some sort of an audience. But you have to keep going. If you're relying on one song, and you think, this is the one, this is going to do it, I think, I think that you're going to need to be very lucky. It's normally a cumulative effort. Is Dancing in the Dark Bruce Springsteen's best song? I mean, really?
No, hardly, yeah.
No, exactly. No, but yet, there's a certain element of his audience that can't wait to hear that song because that's the song that they first heard Bruce Springsteen sing.
Yeah. Tin Lizzy, Boys Are Back in Town. Come on, it's it's not.
Yeah, no. So I mean, that's the way it. Or it's. I mean, I think it's with the Talking Heads. It was the Road to Nowhere. The Road to Nowhere versus Once in a Lifetime. Now, Once in a Lifetime is now. Of course, everybody knows that's the big song, but really, they were writing brilliant songs from the word go. It's a sort of a numbers game. I think to some degree, unless you're very lucky, or the song is just so mind-bogglingly brilliant, like Fairy Tale in New York or something like that, where that there's just absolutely no DJ. Because DJs, to be fair to DJs, were traditionally, whenever I was we started, they were all music fanatics. The DJs, the Irish DJs, the Fanning, the Tony Fentons, they were all started off being music fanatics. So they generally will know a good song, But in today's world, I think it's very, very tough. The flip side of the Spotify world we live in, it's tough because it's so easy to do what we're doing, which is to put out a new single every 2 months, then you've got anybody and everybody can do it. And obviously, you can make it on a laptop. You don't have to go into a big studio. It doesn't cost a lot. So Spotify is just awash with people writing songs that really aren't up to much, and but don't be surprised if those songs don't go anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's a great opportunity, but everybody has it.
That's it. That's completely it. It's a great opportunity, but everybody has it. But I think that's really exciting. But so I would say to anybody who's a songwriter out there, just you can't write enough of them. And nobody can stop you. In today's world, nobody can stop you. So just keep putting your best foot forward. Keep trying to improve the songwriting. Look at other songwriters who are doing stuff that you haven't quite mastered yet. See if you can master it, because that's all we do.
Brendan, until next time, take it easy.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you for listening to the Please Do Something podcast. If you'd like to get in touch, just send an email to brianmurphy@me.com.